Be careful.
He's and Scott Higgins, both of them coked up out of their minds.
Listen to you. He's down in the basement.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I think we should call this the Acement.
The Acement, yes.
Yeah, what do you think there, huh?
I like that. The Acement Studios.
Excuse me, I'm drinking beer. Hold on a second.
We usually drink bourbon on our end
Yeah,
when we
right.
do the podcast, so
That's all right.
feel free to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You shoot an 8-ball if you want. We don't care, as long as it's good stories.
Welcome to the Acement, everybody. It's time to go behind the funny. This is Scott Higgins.
And this is Ace Aceto.
Oh, and it is so good to be back here again. It feels like forever, and it hasn't been forever.
It was 1 week.
No, well, 2 weeks.
Was it 2?
It wasn't
I don't
last
even know.
week. I had a show. You were out of town, so
yeah.
you know it's a little bit of time to our
Yeah.
listeners. Though you guys, we're recording a bunch of great episodes, so you guys still get your weekly episode. But for us, we missed you guys. So hopefully, you guys have been enjoying what we've had coming out. We've had some awesome, really fun episodes lately.
Yeah.
Some new guests, some amazing guests, and also some old friends back that we haven't talked to in a while. So
Like tonight.
so yes,
In fact,
exactly.
First, let's get this out of the way.
Our Bourbon Date
is an old friend.
One of my faves.
I think I mentioned it on one of the last episodes about how I have like a buffet bar upstairs where we used to keep all the booze.
Yeah, we got tired of bringing it up and down.
And so now the table that the camera is on has become a little mini bar.
It's starting to bow in the middle.
Which, not for nothing, is not a good idea considering I have an 18-year-old son who lives in the bedroom that's right on the other side of this. So I'm surprised.
One day you're going to
This
come home
shit
and he's going to be
isn't watered
downstairs
down.
going, "Hey, Dad, is that you upstairs?"
Yeah, I know. I
What a
know. It's
dad.
probably not a good idea. I should probably put a lock on this door. Anyway, Russell's Reserve is
Yes.
our bourbon date today.
And we wanted to bring
we
out
wanted
a
to-
reserve special mix for our special guest, one of our faves, Clinkies.
Thank you, guys.
So let's
Thank
introduce
you,
him.
guys.
Let's give him a proper introduction. This is a guy that's been on the podcast a bunch of times, but never tells the same story twice.
Ever.
Because for some reason,
This is a man that creates new content all the time.
literally the day or two after we have him on the podcast, we get a text. I got another story for you.
It's my favorite text again.
and it inevitably happens literally the day or two after we have him on. We've talked about how he has had a black cloud around him that he created, and somehow he just comes up with these amazing stories every single time. I love
the
it.
best part is the show I did last week, I got to work with his brother, who's one of the most positive,
There's
in the
definitely-
moment, just nicest guys.
Yeah.
And he said, "Are you guys going to have Brad back on the podcast again?" He
Perfect
goes, "I
timing.
love those episodes. They're so good."
So does our audience.
He goes, "I guarantee you he's got new stories." And I'm like, "I know we do. I get a text."
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the back to the Behind the Funny podcast, Mr. Brad Pierce.
Thank you, guys. It's good to be back. I'm trying to do a better job of keeping record of these things because a lot of times what happens is when I text you,
Yeah.
I am in a very
Somber mood.
well,
You're hyper focused
not even
on what happened.
somber, just like it's like holy shit, I can't believe that just happened.
And then you
I'm
text
trying to
us.
process it.
you're still
I'm
trying to
texting
digest
you.
it.
Yes,
Yeah.
my instinct is before I deal with the problem or apologize or whatever to anybody, I text you two guys before I do anything else.
I know. It has
to
to
get
be
it on
because I
record.
usually get the text about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So I'm like, that just happened.
You know what? Yeah, exactly. You know what you got to do? Just for context, this way we all have the information. You, what you need to do is instead of just saying, "I got a new story," say,
Some
"I got a new
keywords.
story. Remind me of
Yeah,
Title-
keywords.
title the story.
baboon ass."
Well, it's
And
like
then
I
at
had.
least it
Remember the
gives
other
us an
day
idea.
I want to hear the story of the baboon ass.
when Ace said, "Brad, we're gonna have you on the show again," I said, "I think I have some notes," and I looked and I said, "One just says deaf girl," and I was like, "What?"
He's gonna remind
It's like-
himself.
I'm like, what the hell? It took me a full day to remember Deaf Girl, and it's definitely not as extreme as it sounds.
Okay.
It sounds way worse than
Yes.
it is.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The last time we had Brad on was when we did the episode on the Comedy Bus.
Yeah, it was Brad and Mike.
Mike
Yep.
Kelly,
Mike
yep.
Kelly from
the Comedy Bus.
Bus.
And so, just quick update: how's the Comedy Bus going?
Oh, it's awesome, man. It's booming. It's been really, really busy. Recently, we had the Buns and Bites chick on.
Buns and Bites.
I
Don't
love
act like
her.
you don't know. Yeah,
I
of course-
honestly
I was
don't.
gonna say, of course, Ace does.
Of course
Don't.
I follow her.
Of course he does. Ace Aceto, like a true lesbian, is all about the women. He really is. It's just the haircut. I can't help myself.
The
Ace-
shot in the
I
screen
know,
just
I
then
know.
Ace
was
went to the
fantastic.
barber and said, "Can you?"
I know. I'm
Ace
sorry.
went to the
I
barber
was
and
adjusting the thing.
Ace
All right.
went to the barber and said, "I want to make sure nobody can tell my gender.
No.
Whatever haircut you could give me."
He's
for that."
non-binary
Dude,
right now.
I did
Give me a
this-
non-binary haircut.
I did this because
he
everyone
likes the
said the
ladies.
last one was a lesbian haircut.
You
This
can't-
one is too.
I think you just have a
This
lesbian
used to be
face.
the-
I think that's what it is.
Excuse me, do you have a haircut
That's what it is.
that is gender vague?
Gender fluid haircut, please. So, anyways, Buns and Bites. So,
I
honestly,
love her. She is
when Mike,
so beautiful.
when
Now, where do you follow her? Facebook or
Instagram.
he's outside of her bedroom
She does-
window,
yeah,
but the rest
with
of us.
binoculars. She's married. Stop.
No, I know.
She's
Her-
gorgeous.
And her
gorgeous.
husband was a good sport because I
Yeah.
did make fun of them quite a bit.
Oh,
Now, what's
really?
it called again?
Buns and Bites.
She like,
Scott's,
she
he's
like,
I'm
not
gonna look
even-
it up right now.
He's not even waiting until the show's over.
She
He's
like-
yeah, I'm gonna look.
she like takes
does-
pictures of her ass next to pizza and
no,
stuff like that.
she
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't. She does it respectable.
Oh, she
it's called
does.
Buns and Bites, but she has an amazing ass. And hey, good for the branding. But
And
she
Damn.
does food reviews.
There goes Scott's
where she
attention
goes-
span the rest of the episode.
Yeah, right. I know.
The sad part is, I'm a chubby middle-aged guy. The food is going to be more attractive to me
Yeah.
than the bus.
We shouldn't even be talking about this because whoever's listening is going to go look at that now, and that's it. We,
Yeah,
how do,
I
we
know.
can't compete
Oh,
with that.
there she
There
is at
she
the
is on the
comedy
bus.
bus.
Right, so
Yeah.
she was on the bus.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
And I was like, I was like, really, you haven't? And boy, man, she's really helped because
Really?
right away she got a ton of views.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty quickly on TikTok alone, she got like 200,000 views or something.
That's amazing.
And that's not even counting Instagram. And Mike said his phone was blowing up
That's
from that video.
fantastic.
And then so they there's a new commercial on 92 Pro FM. We're actually doing Donovan got us some
spot?
deal thing with 92 Pro FM. So Steve and I are doing a bus with 92 Pro FM
Nice.
on
Oh,
cool.
this Sunday.
Yep.
And yeah, things have been really busy.
That's great.
Newport is taking a little bit to launch because I guess somebody ran over somebody's head or something. Not in the comedy bus. Let me say this. I'm just saying Newport.
Yeah, you
It
need to
was-
put some context
Yeah, yeah.
on.
So
It was a totally different bus.
So
it was
Newport
it was
has
a
its-
drama bus where
Yeah.
they do
Hey,
they do Shakespeare.
I hate to tell you, I killed
Yeah,
in Newport.
they
God.
in Newport I think that the problem is with the bus we have to try to differentiate the comedy bus from a party bus. We don't
Right,
want
right.
people getting out of control hamming because that's
Oh,
not
yes,
conducive to a good
yes,
show.
yeah.
Yes.
And so anyways, Mike's just kind of going through all the
Yeah.
legal stuff, all the hoops you got to jump through, but it is still planning to launch in Newport. But yes, things have been very busy. I'm very thankful for the opportunity, and Mike and Jenna are very awesome to work with.
That's
so
awesome.
it's
That's
been
cool.
great.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I'm glad. I'm
I've
glad
had
it's
a
going
blast. Actually, the last time I was on it was for a birthday. Like 3/4 of the bus was rented out for a birthday party for a 21-year-old birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and it turns out I knew her entire family. Like I knew her
that's cool.
aunt.
See, and that helps.
It made it
Yeah.
was just so much fun. We had
Yeah.
a blast.
when you
know?
can make that connection, it almost turns into
Yeah.
a roast.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
at that point, it makes it even more fun.
It's cool, and
Yeah.
it's like it's every ride's definitely a different
Different.
experience. And
Yeah.
this last weekend I had Jonathan Tilson.
Yeah.
He lives in New York now.
Yep.
I said, come down. You can stay with me if you want. He did the bus the whole weekend.
Yep.
And it was just cool to have him come down for the weekend and catch
Yeah.
up with an old friend, and that was really cool.
And it is. It's totally different. I mean, I'll say, I feel like I could be prepared for any of them now because I did the infamous St. Patty's Day.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
Like, I remember you
he
saying-
canceled Cinco de Mayo based on that. You know that?
because I was open.
Yeah,
and
I
I was
said,
like, "Hey,
yeah.
I'm open Cinco de Mayo," and Brad's like, he canceled it after St. Patty's Day.
I can
'Cause
imagine.
you remember when him and Mike came in and they said, yeah, Fridays tend to be a little bit more rowdy and stuff like that.
yeah,
So
which
you got to
makes
be able to
sense.
handle the crowd. Well, let me tell you, these fucking people on St. Patty's Day, I swear, had been drinking since the night before.
Well, think about
St.
it.
Patty's Day fell on a Friday.
Yeah, I know. I went out that night.
These people took the entire day off, and they
They were
started-
already
I mean,
hammered
listen,
They
before
were
got
hammered
there.
before we launched.
We
yeah,
still
before we-
had fun.
No,
and they had
it went
fun
better than I expected.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I
it was
made
still
friends
crazy
with,
enough where he's like, yeah, no more of those holidays.
I made friends with the couple. The guy, remember the guy I said was? Were you there that night?
Yeah, me and you did St.
Yeah.
Patrick's Day.
Remember the
Yeah.
big guy that looked like
Yeah.
I said he was
Yeah,
a
it's
football
huge,
player.
huge. Yeah,
He's
yeah,
an awesome guy. He's been oh fuck you, Bobby Paulin. Thanks for pointing that out. All right, an old friend, a quote unquote friend of mine said.
Well, we
"That
were picking
makes-
on Ace about his haircut
that
earlier.
makes sense
Someone
now with
commented.
the haircut. Someone commented, guy I used to work with on the fire department. Thanks, Bobby. All right, we're going to
Hey, it's
turn
all
off
right.
comments
You're
for the
very
rest of the
progressive.
fucking show
It's
now.
all right.
No, and I just haven't had time. But now that summer's a little bit slower for normal comedy shows, I definitely want to do
Yeah,
it
we'll
because
make it
a lot
happen.
of fun.
all the guys that have done it have said they've had a good time. And I think because you're in the moment, the crowd's right there. You got to do interact with them. It's a different muscle for comedy than your normal act.
Yeah.
It really is.
So I think that's good for us to get out there and do stuff like that. And I definitely want to do that.
You know what was funny was the last time I did it, I think it was me and Sam Ike.
Oh, yeah.
And I asked Sam, I said, do you mind if I do the first leg of the trip? Because I've only done the second half. And I felt like I wanted to try the first half. And Mike came up to me after. He goes, wow, you know a lot about Providence. Because,
That helps.
we went through the east side, and I started telling people,
Yeah.
this is where Edgar Allan Poe wrote The Raven, looking out that window right there. And he's like, how did you know that? I'm like, because I knew a little bit about Providence already, but I'm trying to make it almost like not just my act.
Yeah, no, for sure. If you
Injecting
can
the
say he wants you to
voices.
say at least a couple things about the city,
Right.
So if you can bring that's cool.
Yeah.
Even though like his main concern is they want a funny show, they want people to laugh. But
Right.
if you can add something that adds
Well,
value to the
I would be
tone,
like John C. Riley and Step Brothers. This house was built by General Custer in 1861.
Well, that's it. It's just,
I had nothing of value whatsoever.
Listen,
Oh, I've made
if
shit
you're-
up. Yeah, I said that Honeydew is where James Woods got like his first hand job or something. I said on Allen's Avenue. Yeah.
Listen, if you're gonna do John C. Riley, man, you gotta do the voice. Come on.
That's pretty good.
Thank
That
you.
is
I've
pretty
been
good.
working
That
on
is
it.
that is
That
pretty
is
good.
pretty good.
Did you touch my drum set?
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
You touched my drum set.
That's pretty good.
That's the one thing I asked you,
You
not
are
to do.
fucking crazy, man.
anyway, no, but I had fun doing that. But now I'm starting to, and I told Mike this. I'm starting to think of places that they go by, and now I'm trying to write stuff for it. Where I can still inject, like I think I did it. I did Peter Griffin saying, "Yeah, welcome to Providence. We're 10 miles east of Quahog, which is
See,
where I
that
live."
is, that's what
And you
you
get
bring
used
to
to
it. That's really cool.
But-
is you bring in those impressions that you could tie in with the Rhode Island reference, which is
It
really
helps the
cool.
Family Guys from Rhode Island.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
But then I like on the way back.
Yeah,
I
so
think
it's like
on
a
St.
cheat code that Ace uses.
I think on St. Patty's Day we went by the Providence Place Mall, and I was like, "Yeah, little known fact: Providence Place Mall. If you look at it from the highway, it looks like the Roman Colosseum, which is pretty right on point. If you've ever been to the Providence Place Mall, it's just as violent. There's just not. There's just not.
They just don't bring in lions
There's just
and-
not lions. There's guns.
It's Uzis.
Yeah, exactly. But it was so much fun to do, and I liked to your point, pushing out of my comfort zone and not just doing my act,
Yeah.
like doing a little
Yeah.
bit of my act.
It's a little bit of everything. It's a little riffing,
And
little,
what I
little
find,
jokes, little
and
crowd
what
work. Little
I
everything.
found is because some people are local, some people aren't. I found that my dirtier material works better on the bus.
It depends on the crowd, like any other show.
The Sunday afternoon, like if I'm on a Sunday afternoon, I'll do the religion stuff and all that shit.
Yeah.
But I think for the Friday and Saturday nights, it was. I mean, I even did the Ray Romano getting a blowjob, and that fucking killed that night.
I think you guys found a really cool niche where it's something different.
Oh,
We're-
yeah.
we're- where people are getting out of the house. Everyone loves to laugh. Everyone loves comedy, but you're presenting it in a different fashion where they're getting something different out
It's
of
like an
it.
experience. Yeah.
Right. They're not just sitting there listening to it. They're getting a full experience out of it. So you guys have tapped into something that's a little different, and people are really digging it. So
it's been cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm happy for you that this is, really taken off the way that it
I'm
has.
pumped, too. Me
know,
too.
it's funny because my daughter says to me, "Hey, there's this comedy bus thing in Providence. Do you know about it?" I said, "Yeah, one of my very good friends is involved in that." Why? She goes, "One of the girls I used to coach in youth soccer when my daughters played soccer, she did, a bunch of her friends went out on it for their birthdays.
Nice. Oh, wow. That's
And they
awesome.
said, this is a blast. You got to go on it on her
Awesome.
Instagram and everything." And I'm like, holy
great.
shit. Now it's like people in my
catching on.
in my circle are starting to talk about it where I live, and I'm not in Rhode Island.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that was
That's
really
good.
cool when that happened. So
Yeah, it's
good
very
for you.
cool. I appreciate the encouragement, and let's. All right, that's
Let
a
me-
lot
let-
of positivity.
let- okay.
let's get to something negative.
Pass the
please.
bottle over. I need to top off because
Let's
we're going to get into the
something-
reason
Let's get to some negativity.
why we
shall
want Brad here once a month.
This is getting a little
I know.
too optimistic.
We
in this
had-
conversation.
It's funny because
Brad, there's nothing we enjoy more than your text when you say, "I got another story for
You're
you."
not gonna
some shit
believe
that
this
happened.
one.
You're not gonna believe what happened tonight.
So the deaf girl thing is a little disappointing. You're gonna be a little disappointed. It's not as
all right,
crazy as it
not
sounds.
as crazy.
We're
All
never
right.
going to be disappointed.
But
never
I
with
think
one
I
of those stories.
texted you guys
Yeah.
before the ending of the story.
Okay.
Basically, I was doing a show, and there was a young couple in the front, and I, was asking them how long they've been dating and this and that, how they met, and she's just like, like undiscernible, talking back,
drunk.
and
Yeah.
I was like making fun of her for being hammered.
Yep.
And when I got off stage, the other comics, and they were not busting my balls, they said, "Dude, what the fuck? Dude, that girl's deaf."
Oh,
And I said, "What?" Now, I think around this time is when I texted you guys.
Okay.
I was
Remind
like,
me about
I'm
the
like,
deaf girl.
I'm like
right.
horrified. I'm pacing back and forth. Like I shit all over this deaf girl. And I'm like, no way she's deaf. They're like, "Dude, we saw her signing with the guy she was
my
sitting
God.
with." And I'm pacing back and forth. I'm like, "Oh, I'm such a piece of shit." Anyways, in conclusion, as much as it's believable that would happen to me,
Yeah.
she was not deaf.
Oh,
really?
I
thank
got to
God.
the bottom of it. She was not deaf. I'm like, you motherfuckers. All of them
they were
had me
fucking with
thinking.
you.
I
No,
think-
they weren't. They
Oh,
really
they
thought
really
she was
thought
deaf.
she was?
They thought they weren't fucking
Oh,
with me.
okay.
But they're like,
I
swear
was just
to
going to
God.
say, if the other comics did that on purpose, that's
No,
hilarious.
no. Which you could see somebody doing that.
I would do it.
But of course you guys
Was-
would, and I would believe you for
Was
sure.
one of the other comics Mike Murray?
No,
that
no.
would've added
Ironically,
validity to the fucking
ironically,
story.
it wasn't Mike. I think it might. I think
Come on,
Mark
do
Anthony.
Mike convincing him this.
I think
Listen, dude, I've been getting texts from the Deaf Association. There's a hit out on you.
Well, Mike was there because Mike was there with the blind guy, which was real. I told
We're
you that
natural
story.
born enemies.
I told you that story. I was shitting on this guy for not paying attention. But this guy's not even facing the fucking show.
Oh, my
I go
God.
to off stage.
No.
This is true. I go to ask Murray. I go to off stage. Murray's like, "Bro, what the fuck? That guy was blind." He's of course he's not looking forward. He's like not paying attention because he's fucking blind. And I thought he was busting my balls. I looked over. No, he was blind.
Oh.
And I couldn't tell from the stage that the dude was blind. I'm like,
Well,
this fucking guy's facing me like that. Not
Facing
even
the other way, and the dog was
Yeah,
facing
yeah,
me.
exactly.
Dude, you heard the
So that's
story.
true, but the
of-
girl was not deaf. She was just very, very, very drunk.
Dude, you heard the story of me at the high school with Mike
Yes,
Murray.
I did hear that story. Murray loves telling that
I have
story.
never gotten over that. I
That's
still to
scarring.
this day. My hair just on my arm just stood
Yeah.
up from that.
That's
because-
scarring.
Just real
Is
quick
that
for
the
our
high school
our
where the-
audience, the local high school in my town that my wife teaches at,
Special
and my
ed
daughter
teacher.
was going to at the time. This my wife is a special ed teacher and VP. This
Yes.
kid Vasilios Politos, who was the
did
very first Funny for Fun show that I ever did.
Yeah.
This young man, he was a senior in high school, got cancer, was on the football team. We donated a show to help him raise money.
We did
to
the
help him and
very
his family.
first Funny for Fun's
my
his branch.
My branch for Funny for Fun's. It was the first show that we did. Amazing show, great night. So
It was me, him, and Billy.
yes,
We had a
we had a
blast.
blast, great show, raised a ton of money. So the school is doing this kind of health and symposium, and they said they want to do laughter is the best medicine. So they asked if I would come and do it. So I asked Mike to do it. I thought it would be fun. So we're going to come out and talk about Funny for Funds and how we help people and everything. So we're going to do some comedy in the beginning. And you know, high school kids in comedy.
That's tricky.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just did a lock-in show the other day.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to have 3 sessions. First session didn't go well at all, just kind of nothing. Big deal. Second session, go out. I'm starting. Mike's going to go second. I'm going along. All of a sudden, from the back of the room, you hear, nah! And I'm like, well, at least someone's having fun. All you hear in the audience is, and then I look in the back of the room and I see some people wheeling a person out.
Oh,
It's
no.
a girl in a wheelchair.
Oh, God.
Horrible. That's worse than you.
That is worse than me. I can
This-
totally relate.
This
though.
severely handicapped girl
Oh,
who just
God.
basically was moaning
Poor thing.
that they
God.
took her out because when I said something, they thought she was interrupting the show and took her out. And Murray is off in the wings, not out on stage yet,
Probably died.
dying,
Losing his shit,
laughing,
right? Yeah.
losing his shit. And I go to introduce him, and he's like giving me the no fucking way. I'm not coming
I'm
out
not
right
following
now.
that. You better do another minute and get him back.
Type of thing.
I don't know. It might. What in the fuck?
I got sound effects now.
It might just be
Yeah,
me,
that-
but I think people in these situations, these
Yeah.
venues, these organizations, these groups have to do a little more work pointing these people out, all right? Because I can't always tell, all right? And I think they need name tags
What
or
do you want?
signs.
A seating chart?
You can't always
You want a
tell.
big sign behind him? I'm deaf.
Listen,
I'm
first of all,
blind.
they should sit in the back.
there's
First of all, you can
That's
park up front, but
segregation.
sit in the back. You can look. It's not fair because you can't always tell
Brad,
looking at them.
I think the
and I get
Americans
myself
with
into
Disabilities
trouble.
Act
Yeah.
frowns upon that.
Yeah.
I got saved by the last second before a show recently because I was talking to, and this guy, I forgot he had a weird headband or something, whatever. So I'm like, I'm going to make fun of this guy. And I'm thinking in my head.
Weird
Then I'm
headband.
talking to these 2 guys, and they look normal. And one of them was. And then he starts introducing me to the other guy. And I'm like, oh, shit. Good thing. I was just about to go on stage. I was opening act. I'm like, if I didn't talk to these guys, I was going to shit all over this dude.
Yep.
And
'Cause he
had
looked a little different?
No, he didn't look different.
Oh,
He
all
looked
right.
normal until we started talking.
Talking.
So you
Oh.
can't always tell. So somebody other than myself needs to point these people out because I don't want to
Let me-
offend anybody.
let-
What do you
me-
want, a fucking checklist before
I'm on like
the
a
show?
neon sign over their heads. or
Please
something.
let me know that there's a deaf person at table 6, seat 4.
His
There's a
na-
blind person
His
here.
name is escaping me right now, but the guy from Deadpool that was the bartender in the bar where all the murk.
Oh, T.J. Miller.
T.J.
Yeah.
Miller,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you. Did you ever see the video clip of him on stage? He's wearing a welding helmet. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah, he's sitting there wearing a welding helmet. It's the strangest thing. And he just says to the guy in the front row, he goes, dude, I see you wearing cargo shorts. What's your freight? What are you carrying? And the guy goes,
Cargo.
the guy's like, yeah, I like to wear them because they're very comfortable. And I like them. And he said, he looks at the crowd. He goes, okay, I'm not going to make fun of this gentleman right now. I did nothing wrong. I'm just having a conversation, and this is the part of the show where we're just going to learn an interesting fact about this gentleman. And I'm like, that is just a perfect way for this guy.
He backpedaled.
He still got a laugh.
Yep.
And never made fun of the guy.
Oh, my
And it
God.
was so perfectly done the way that he did it because he just went to the crowd. I did nothing wrong here. We're just going to learn an interesting fact about him.
Yeah, see, he
And
got
it was
lucky because
hila-
he
Oh.
figured it out before he
Yes.
shit on the guy.
Because if he went one step further
It's
before
too
the guy
late.
answered, yes, that and
Exactly.
and
You
that,
can't always
did.
tell.
that's it. You know, Ace and I do material, so we don't rely on the crowd. You play in that dangerous end
It's
of the
dangerous
pool
game.
all the time.
I was making fun of a kid in the front of one of those high school shows. This was like 3 years ago.
Yep.
Murray always reminds me of this. Otherwise, I would have forgot.
Of course he does.
And then I start asking the guy next to him was a little older. hey, like, are you one of the teachers or whatever? And he starts to tell me what he does. And it's like, oh, you are like the caretaker to this kid I was just
To this
shitting
kid.
on
Right,
because
right.
I am an asshole and didn't realize this kid has mental disabilities because he
Right.
looks normal.
Right.
And he's right up front. They put these people right up front to fuck with me. The people with
Yes,
autism,
no.
the blind people, the deaf people, they're all up front just waiting for me to bury myself.
Brad.
Yes,
Brad.
It's
how,
all a fucking conspiracy.
They're all
against you.
inconsiderate.
how long?
Brad.
How long have you been doing comedy?
It's a conspiracy against you,
Brad.
purposely, Brad.
Yes. No,
You
Trying to take
found
the
it out.
normies down.
You found it out.
in New England,
There's
they've all band
classified-
together.
Yeah, no, there's classified FBI documents on
There's a-
Operation Fuck with Brad.
There's a Facebook group. Fuck
Yes,
with Brad.
Yes, yeah. We should
How long
start
have you
that.
been doing comedy? now?
Like 10 years.
Okay,
I think.
so in 10 years, you haven't built in a filter system to figure out how to filter these people
if
out.
I look at a dude who's missing an arm or something, I can tell, but I can't always tell, especially
but-
with a spotlight on
but
you and
mental
shit.
disabilities don't always show themselves.
Right. So sometimes
That's
it's
why
too
he
late by the
feels he
time you
should be in the
figure it
back.
out. Be in the back or wear a sign or something.
A sign. I think they stopped that in the 40s. 1940, maybe the 1840s.
I just don't want to be an
a
asshole.
sign. Don't ask me questions.
I don't want to pick on anybody.
We are officially.
This is the podcast. If any of us ever
I don't
gets
think I
big, it's
could
going to
post
destroy
this.
our career. By
I
the way,
just said it. We're officially going to get canceled.
I don't
after
think
this
I
show.
could post this ever.
No.
Thank God I'm never going to get
This
famous
will be-
because
you
this
know
will be
what?
what ruins my career.
We've talked about doing Patreon.
This is why you didn't
episodes.
get the Sam Adams commercials.
No,
by the way.
we've-
This is the reason.
They would have cut me from the commercial right after this
We've-
episode.
We've talked about doing Patreon episodes. This absolutely should not be available to the public. This should be
listen,
a Patreon episode.
I don't look. I want to say I'm saying this because I don't want to offend people
Right.
who have enough bullshit to deal with because they have mental or physical disabilities. Yes, I'm joking around about it, but in all seriousness, I like to play with people and bust
Right.
balls and make fun of
And
people. And the last thing I want to do is make fun of some
And
dude
I will
who's dealing
honestly
with that.
and I will honestly say I've worked with Brad enough,
Yeah,
so have
no,
you.
yeah.
Everything that Brad does when he's talking to the crowd, he never does anything that's mean.
It's not malicious
or
or mean.
hateful.
No.
I'm not
or
trying to ruin
malicious.
somebody's day,
No,
you
no,
know
no.
what I
You're
mean?
you're just
He's literally trying to reach for material.
Right, he's-
because he doesn't
it's-
have an act.
It's
Because I am not a professional comedian.
no, nothing he does is
No, I know,
done
I know.
with a mean spirit or anything like that. It's fun. It's in the moment. So I understand where you're coming from.
Right.
Thank
I really do. It's not from a place of really trying to distribute hate or anything.
No,
like
I just
that.
want look.
It's
and
not
if
from
I
a bad
feel like
place.
if I'm talking
Yeah.
to somebody and I
Yeah.
feel like they're not feeling it or they're a little annoyed,
You're gonna
I always,
move on.
I usually what I'll do is I'll shit on myself.
Yep.
I'll turn it back on me and then move on.
Right.
I listen. Now that we've established, now I could never become successful. Let's shit on Seinfeld because I wanted to do that last time I was
Yes.
here and
Yes.
I forgot. I was
Okay.
like, I totally forgot to tell you guys why there's more reasons to hate Seinfeld.
Just a quick sidebar. I'm driving here tonight, and on 95, there's an 1966 Porsche Spider.
Okay.
And I pull up, and the guy sitting inside has sunglasses, brown hair. I swore as I pull up, it was Seinfeld.
Hey, maybe it was.
Maybe he was doing comedians in cars getting coffee.
But then
with
he
someone.
turned, and he had a mustache like Ted Lasso.
Oh.
And I'm like, that's
his
definitely not
disguise.
Jerry
He
Seinfeld.
wears that disguise when he's in New England.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So why should we hate Seinfeld for more reasons than what we already knew?
All right.
The guy that was number 2 by last year on Forbes' richest comedians list, by the way.
Yeah. Brad was
fuck 'em.
number 5,700.
Yeah, I wish.
No, he didn't even make it in the top
I
10,000.
wish I was 5,000.
Oh,
so-
by the way, we're 243rd in South Korea for podcasts.
Hell yes.
I don't know what
on
it is,
Apple's
but we love you.
Apple's podcast.
This
list.
is why we do it, baby.
We love you, South Korea. Not North Korea.
All right.
Nuclear bombs and
Okay.
behind the fun.
No, that's North Korea with
All right,
Yes,
close
they're
enough.
on our side.
And then
Oh, that's
nuclear, not nuclear.
Nuclear.
Don't ask me how to say it. You know how I can't talk, so don't ask me.
All right, get back to hating Seinfeld.
All right. So,
All right.
and I'm going to try to remember this the best I can because this is just something I heard on a podcast.
Yep.
Probably right before I saw you guys.
Well,
and
you
I was
know
out
Jerry
fresh in my
personally.
mind.
You worked
yeah,
with
yeah,
him.
we're
That's
good
right.
buddies.
You opened for him.
Yeah,
Oh no, he opened for
me.
you.
Yeah,
That's right.
That's right.
Sad
That's
part is
right.
we actually know people who would use that as a fucking credit that
Yeah,
Seinfeld
no.
opened for them.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
never. I would never do that.
No,
It's not like when I worked with Steve and Marty. That's totally different.
Oh my God.
I don't know who
Yeah,
that is.
Steve
well,
Martin and
Sounds
Marty
great.
Short.
Tell you.
Oh, okay.
He got called up on stage to wear a fucking sombrero, and he's saying that he's working with Steve Martin and
I
Martin
actually
Short.
sang
Oh,
the
that's right,
theme
you
song to Three Amigos.
Okay.
It's a great song.
But back to Brad. Brad.
So I'm
I know you've
look.
been
I'm
trying
gonna
to
remember
tell
this the
the
best
story.
I can because in the moment I was really aggravated about it.
Yep.
I was listening to I think it might have been Jim Norton's podcast or something.
Yep.
It was a random clip. It was Jim Norton, somebody else, and Mark Norman telling this. Mark
Yep.
Norman
Yeah.
was telling. Did you hear this story?
No.
Of Mark
No,
Norman
no, I
working
haven't.
with Seinfeld.
No.
And I made me so mad that I felt like Jim Norton let me down. I'm like, come on, Jim Norton, say some funny fucking shit. Rip
Yeah.
into Seinfeld. A
Was
little bit.
was
He
this
didn't.
his Chip Chipperson podcast?
I don't know. I don't remember. It was just a.
I'm just
I heard
curious.
this random clip. I don't know. I think I was just, how it like starts sending you stuff. I was watching
Yeah.
some Norton shit, and it just randomly
I
fired me.
I
this
love
clip.
Jim Norton, but Jim
too.
also, if it's a big star, he will not go after that.
I was
He
disappointed.
won't go after.
I was like, I bet if it was him and Patrice, they would have said more.
Patrice.
Yeah.
Patrice would have.
Patrice
in
would
a
not have
second.
held back. Exactly.
So
All right,
Norman's
so,
telling
go
this
ahead.
story, and I'm trying to remember something from a while back. Basically, he's opening for Seinfeld.
Mark
He's-
Norman is
Right. And Norman's all excited about it
of course.
and thankful for it and all this. And Seinfeld wants him to do 15. And Norman says something like, is someone going to light me or something? And Seinfeld with like his snarky remark was like, come on, like be professional. Like in other words, memorize an exact 15 fucking minutes in your brain. And you know how he is, that meticulous fuck. He
Right.
means exactly 15
Oh, yeah.
minutes. Now, if listening to the story, if I thought what he meant was, hey, do around 15 and then bring me up. You know what I mean? But you know that motherfucker wants an exact 15. So, obviously, he's not saying you don't expect Jerry to pop his head around the corner in the back and light him. Obviously, Seinfeld's got probably 17 servants that will do that for him. Fucking the guy who played Newman could pop around and fucking light him or something.
Hello, Jerry. It's time to get off stage.
So, anyways,
Wayne Knight is lighting people.
Yeah.
so my
Hello, Mark. It's time to get off stage.
my frustration
That's
right
not bad.
right off the bat is
Yeah, it's not as gay as Norm.
it's just listening to the story, and again,
Yeah.
I'm doing this on memory.
Yeah, 'cause
you
you're-
could look it up.
But you already
The
had
more-
a chip on your shoulder against Seinfeld for what happened.
and just
So
everybody.
this just pissed
I just
everybody.
It
He
just
hates everyone.
it's insane to me. The egos, and obviously you go up the scale,
Of
you're going to get
course.
bigger egos.
Yeah.
Dude, just have one of your little fucking minions light the dude.
the
If
dude.
you want exact 15,
Well, let me
have someone.
Let me
one
play
of your
devil's
minions-
advocate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second, because guys that aren't even at Seinfeld's level, because I've opened up for Boston guys, and Ace knows. Ace has opened up for people. When they'll tell you, "I want a clean 15."
Right.
They expect you to go out and be able to do clean 15 without somebody lighting you.
Yeah.
They expect you to do
15 on the dot.
on the dot.
But that's the thing. When you get to
and
the
they'll
level,
tell you, buy a fucking watch
When you
if you
get-
can't keep 15
Yeah,
minutes.
but see, I don't
when
think he would
you-
like if he was looking at a watch. I don't even
But
like
I'm-
seeing a comic.
Well,
Look
listen,
at his
what I'm
watch.
saying is
No,
when you
but-
get to the level of Seinfeld, or when you get to the level where you're opening for a national act like
you
that,
should know exactly what your time
You
is
should- yeah.
in your act. That's why when I used to work Boston and I used to
Now-
do Comedy Connection, Faneuil Hall, those guys used to tell me, build your act in 5-minute chunks. So you know exactly each chunk is 5
Right,
minutes.
so in this
So if a guy
story-
tells you do 10 minutes, you do 2 5-minute chunks, and you know it's exactly 10 minutes.
Right.
So
I
you can
think it's-
stop on a dime.
I think it's a little unreasonable. I know
I'm
you
just
guys
telling-
have done way
but
more than
that's
me.
because-
No, and
but
I'm not-
When I have opened for 2 acts, like I opened at the Odeum recently, which was
Yeah.
one of my positive stories. That was really cool. I didn't tell you that
We don't want
were
that.
a positive
Yeah,
session.
we don't
we
hear
don't want
that.
that.
No, but
the guy, I didn't have the headliner.
Who'd you open up for?
Michael Palisak is his name.
Oh, all right.
I didn't say, hey, you light me.
right.
Some
No,
guy
I
working
know.
there lit me.
I
And
know.
then when I did the one out in Vegas for cousin Louie there, he didn't even deal with that. The club.
Right. No, the club
I-
did.
but I
understand
But I
understand
get
where
it.
you're
It's a
coming
higher level.
from.
But here's my
Right.
point, though. Why this even becomes a discussion
Yeah.
is Seinfeld has got this dude so rattled about this
Then-
goddamn 15.
now
Yeah,
he's-
Somebody yelled out during his act.
Now
so
he's
now,
worried about
yes.
his
Do I
time.
think Mark Norman
Do
can
I
do an exact
engage?
15? Yes,
Yeah.
he can. Mark Norman is a great comic, way
Yeah.
fucking
Fantastic
better and more
comic.
successful than me.
Fantastic.
But now there's some crowd work interaction shit.
And now it throws you off
And
because,
because
you
he's
had
got the
planned on so
fucking
much time. Right.
Jewish Nazi back there being so specific, it rattled his fucking head.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up getting off the stories. Actually, it's kind of funny to listen to because he ends up getting off stage. I think before the 15, he
Yep.
gets in the back and he's like, "Oh fuck, I only did 12 or something." He runs back out there, makes an ass out of himself.
Oh, my God.
But my point is, the whole reason all this fucking bullshit happened is because, dude, just have someone fucking like the guy.
Right.
And then you don't have to get in his head. He's already so excited and stressed
Yeah.
out to open for Seinfeld. Take the pressure off that so he can just focus on doing a good
Right.
set.
But you know what?
Do you
In
know what
all
I'm saying?
honesty, I get it.
I see
but
both
in
sides.
all honesty,
I do see both
Here's
sides.
the thing. In all honesty, if you don't think that didn't happen to Jerry Seinfeld when he was opening for people,
All the more
it's
reason to be
kind of-
nice about it.
Yeah, I mean, you still be nice about it, but it's just how it is because he's probably trying to make. And I get it because if someone's yelling shit out, now that throws off your normal.
Yeah, he ended up,
15-minute
and
set.
that's what happened to him.
But did Seinfeld lay into him because he was?
you gotta listen to the
All
whole
right.
story because I'm remembering this from months ago. I heard
Right.
it once on a podcast. I was
Yeah.
coming in to do your thing the next day, and in my head I'm like, "Fuck this guy!" You gotta be such a dick. Your focus, you as a successful Seinfeld, you should want your opener. Here should be his focus.
Yeah.
have a good fucking set.
But
That's
you're-
it.
But
Not
again,
counting seconds in your fucking
no, but
brain.
you're looking at it from the
our
opener
perspective.
and our perspective, not from the
Not
Jerry
from theirs.
Seinfeld. Right.
Yeah.
What would it hurt
they
Jerry to have
paid-
someone in the staff just like to do?
I'm not.
No, I get it.
I'm
but
not
they-
disagreeing, but
they
at the same
paid their
time,
dues.
right?
So, I'll give you an example. When I opened up for a couple of times, when I was working the Newport Yachting Center when they were open, I opened up for Gaffigan. I opened up for Lewis Black. I opened up for Dom Irera.
Right.
And all of them, it was do 20 minutes. Now, no one ever bitched at me, but I never asked for a light. I just said, okay, I'm in the big leagues now. I'm opening for major fucking, headliners. They want 20 minutes, I'm doing 20 minutes. And I keep an eye on my thing. Now, could I possibly go 20 seconds over because I hadn't gotten my punchline? Yeah. But
I don't think anybody would have cared of that group
No.
about the extra 20
No,
seconds.
But you know what? I don't know.
Seinfeld might have.
I don't know if he would have.
He's not the
you're
only one.
assuming, but I will tell you this, and we've talked about it on the podcast before. I've had two experiences with headliners who I was told do 20 minutes up front. I'm in the middle of my set, 20 minutes. Now, when someone tells you to do 20 minutes, you put it in your head. Here's what I'm going to do.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, you're 7 minutes in, and the person at the side of the stage, not the headliner, but the person running the show, is giving you the cut sign.
Don't I know from you pulling me off stage?
That was different. I was jumping up and down, lighting
You're
you.
like, get
cut.
the hell
Yeah.
off the stage.
That was different. But then I cut my set short, and I'm like, what? Did I do something wrong? They're like, no, they just wanted to get up on stage earlier. Okay. Second show that night, they said, okay, just do 10 minutes this time. I do 10 minutes, and they're off the side of the stage giving me the stretch sign.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, what the fuck? And both times I ended up having to do a half hour because they were back at the hotel fucking off,
late.
taking a nap or whatever.
I get all
And
that, though.
pit-
Being able to go short or
those
long
are
is
people-
understandable.
Those
That's
are
different.
people that I consider assholes.
I first time I got to open up for what I considered a bigger person in Boston. I was supposed to do 20 minutes, and I went over by a minute and a half, 90 seconds, because I I was doing really well, and I got some big laughs, which pushed.
So you went 90 seconds over.
And I'm into my last joke, which was a longer joke, and I knew I was going a little over, and I'm finishing up the last joke, so it pushed me long, and I finished with a big laugh.
Okay.
I finished
Great.
well,
Which is what
Yeah.
should matter most.
Right.
and as I walk off stage and I'm heading to the back, I get in the back hallway. The guy that's the headliner looks at me and goes, "What were you cutting a fucking album up there?"
For a minute and a half.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go fuck him. Hey, I want to just interrupt real quick because Ace said,
But he's
Comments.
the guy that sold all the tickets that night.
Right.
yeah, I don't care. Fuck him. Remember Ace?
And that's why
Remember
Brad
a minute
will
ago?
never get
no,
off
I'll
the
never
comedy
make
bus.
it. No, I will never. I will work on a bus for tips the rest of my life, and I don't give a fuck. Listen, did you hear he just said he is more mad about the comedian that makes you go 3 times as long because they're in the hotel?
Yeah.
Ace is the one guy who I had to do 2 sets in the same show because Ace, the headliner, wasn't around. Didn't show up. I had to go back on
What?
stage and do another
Didn't
set.
show up.
Me,
Please
James,
tell.
I'll
No,
never
you
forget
have to
this.
stop talking.
I
He
wanna
I
needs
will
to tell
never
the
forget
story.
this because Ace is
Wait.
literally the only comic who's ever done this to me,
I
and he
wanna
just
know what
complained
show.
about somebody doing it to him.
I want to. Yeah, but
At least they went like this. I
I-
got off stage,
Wait.
and they like had to go back on.
Did I tell you? But it wasn't. I didn't tell you to cut short the show before.
No.
I was
You-
probably
you
running
made
late
us-
for a reason.
You made us do extra.
tell
I wanna
the
know what
story.
show.
It was a funny for fun show.
I know
It was
exactly
either
which one.
Coventry, maybe.
Coventry, PNA.
Maybe it was
It
me,
was a dance
James Firth.
competition.
Oh yeah. Me,
Yes.
James Firth, and you. And if I remember correctly, I think Firth and I might have both did 2 sets
Yeah.
because Ace was so late.
No. Okay.
And I wasn't that experienced. This is like years ago.
No.
This is probably
It was
5 years ago.
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
exactly what show you're talking about. Here's the problem. When you get requested
Oh,
because
when you're a big shot.
it's been nice talking to you, Brad.
You know,
You'll
I've
never
been-
be on one of my funny for fun shows again.
I would never
It-
even remember
no,
this if you
it's
didn't
been
say that
fun.
about the other
I know.
guy.
I
It's
know
been
what it
fun
was.
having Brad on the podcast.
Yes.
Too bad this is his last
It was
appearance.
fun. Brad may be the new co-host. Anyway, no, I know exactly what happened. There have been times where you have people who reach out to you to do a funny for fun show, and they go, "But we want you on the show."
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they go and book the venue without talking to you first, and it's like, I just had this happen a month ago.
Yeah. I know what
But
you're
they
talking
booked the
about.
venue, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Okay, it's April 22nd." I'm like, "I already
You're
have
already
a show
booked,
that
yeah.
night."
Right.
So to make both groups happy,
You're trying to double
I
up.
host one
Yep.
show and then run across town or 2 towns and close the other one. And if you remember, I actually called you guys.
Oh, yeah, I
and we
remember.
you guys put me on the microphone.
Yeah.
And I did some funny shit on the microphone
Was it
to
funny,
hold
Brad?
them over.
it funny?
I tried.
So
I tried. Fuck
here's the
you.
thing. I think it's a great memory. It was a really fun
Folks,
night.
it's been fun. It's been a good 6 years, but I am done with this fucking podcast.
Honestly, it was a great night. My point is,
I love you,
that
buddy.
type of thing bothers me way less than, hey, you got to do this set
No,
by
I know.
exactly 15 minutes
But
to the
my point-
second.
my-
and have that in your head when you should be focusing on just being fucking
Brad,
funny.
But my
Do you know what I
point,
mean?
my point
I'd rather
wasn't
deal with that.
But Brad,
But-
that's just part of the business.
My
That's
point-
just
Shitty part of the business.
And my point wasn't
Shitty.
the fact that they went, I had to go long the next show. It was that they pulled me off stage early the previous show because they wanted to get on stage early and then didn't have the decency to fucking show up on time for the second
next
show
one. Yeah.
when you're only staying at a hotel across the street.
Yeah.
You know?
Divas, yeah.
Now,
And I'll give you the names because I don't give a fuck. I'll never work for them again.
Well, after
And
the
I've
first
heard
segment,
people-
none of us are
that's right.
working again.
I've heard people say how great this person is, but you know what? Fuck Caroline Ray and fuck Jackie the Joke Man Martin.
Yeah,
they both did it to me.
but you've talked about them in the past.
I know.
You've talked
Is that
about
the
and I
Stern
just wanted
guy,
to yeah.
Now flip flop a positive story.
and I
Okay.
hope that goes viral.
John Panette. I opened up for him a couple of times. First time I opened up for him, Sweetheart of a Man went great. He came back to Providence. I got to open up for him again. I'm up there, supposed to do 20 minutes. It's just, he just does an opener and him.
Right.
That's it.
Well,
Two-person
that's
show.
cool. Yeah. Because he probably does an hour.
Oh, easily,
Easily,
if
yeah.
not more.
Yeah. So there should only be 2 people.
So I'm up there, and I was so worried because of what had happened to me with the person saying, "What are you cutting a fucking album up there?" That I'm finishing my 20. They told me 20 minutes. I'm doing my 20. I'm coming up to my 20, and I cut off a joke so I could finish my 20. And I didn't even get to the punchline. I just kind of wrapped it up and walked off stage. And John says to me, he goes, "What was that last joke you did?"
And you were like, it was
and
half
I,
of my
I was
last
like,
joke.
yeah, I was running over, and I didn't want to go over the 20. And he goes, no. If you're ever not done a joke when you're opening up for me, finish the joke. He goes,
he'd rather have
He
you
goes-
end on a good
he goes,
note.
get
Yeah.
the-
That's all I'm saying. That
goes,
guy is the cool guy. The other guy's
he goes,
a dick.
He goes, get the laugh. He goes, you were setting
what
up.
he should care
He
about.
goes, you were setting up for
I
a good
know,
finish. He goes, get the finish. He goes, I'll be fine. He goes, these people paid to see me. He goes, I want them to get to see you. And he was such a sweetheart of a man.
Isn't that great when it's like
Yeah.
that?
And, I couldn't ask for a better person to open up for ever. The other person, eventually I became friends with. I'm not going to mention who they were. And I kind of I do understand, and I don't understand where he's coming from, because he reacted to a situation that he didn't have the full information from at the time, because we actually started the show late and he wasn't there at the start of the show. So
he didn't realize.
He didn't
Dude,
understand
it's
why
nine-
I
it's
was
90
wrong.
seconds.
Yeah.
But he
No.
didn't.
It's not 7 minutes.
But
it's
still.
90
Yeah,
seconds.
but
Still-
there's different people. I get it.
There's a lot of information involved and
Okay.
stuff like that. And some people can't
Brad disagrees.
handle it.
I like
know what
the
I say
second
to
guy's
them?
point better.
Honestly,
The
and
Panetto.
I, just like Ace, I've been lucky enough. Like when I was a few years in, I became, Ace was one of the first headliners I got to talk to that explained a lot of
And
stuff
I'm
to me.
fucking amazing. So
And I had the influence of a lot of headliners
Except for when I
that
show up
were
late.
really good at explaining stuff to me. So I was very lucky. So now that I'm 20 something years in and I get to headline, I try to be that way to newer people that are opening up when I get to do close shows.
It's called
Yeah.
being a decent human being.
right, yeah, but
But-
not everyone is.
But once in a while,
Then
though,
I'm
In
gonna
any
complain about
business.
that.
but Brad, still, once in a while there are people that open up that abuse that position.
Right.
And I do say something to them, but I try to do it in a nice way. I say, listen, if you're gonna be a professional comic and you're in that spot, try not to abuse that spot.
Yeah.
You were hired to do 15 minutes. Don't do 20 minutes.
No, of course.
Right,
I agree with
right.
that. I agree with that.
But I talk to them.
Yeah.
I don't just be an
Yeah, I
asshole
agree
to
with
them.
that.
I try to talk to them and explain it to
I
them.
agree with what you're saying.
Because I tell them I was in that spot too. Don't just, try to abuse that spot.
agree with
and,
you.
and prove
Right.
that I'm the man and everything like that. You got to still be able to work with everybody.
I agree with you. I got another story for you.
Can't wait.
All right, so this one.
We got to get to some stories.
All right, so this is at the illustrious Comedy Park, the place known as the Comedy Park,
Which
I
is a
was there.
great club, by the way.
It's a great
It
venue.
is.
It's I feel like it's kind of become like a more of a venue than a club.
Correct.
If that makes sense. But anyways,
Correct.
doing a show, Anthony Smith booked me. Doing the show, our show's going along well.
Mr. Kuze.
That's the one.
We had him on this show. He was a great guest.
He's a lot of fun. So I was doing his show. Show's going along well. This guy before me, I don't remember his name. I just know he goes by Diesel. He's a very energetic guy. Lot of energy. He did this bit where he's talking to a couple in the crowd, and he comes out and he's like dancing with the girlfriend or something. He's like gutting her dancing. It's like very
With his own girlfriend?
No. With this couple. He's talking to this couple in the crowd. He's talking to this couple. He's doing crowd work. He literally comes out off the stage into the crowd to dance with this couple and have this like very interactive, fun thing. And the guy who he's talking to is this big, very big. I called him Suge Knight during my set. He was a big dude.
Of course you did.
So the Diesel dude, the comedian, kisses the Suge Knight guy on the head. And when that happened, and I'm about to go up next, Mike Murray texts me and goes, "Hey, I'll give you $20 if you kiss that guy's head too." So right away, I'm like, oh, you bet your ass I'm getting that $20. So I follow the thing and I go up. I'm doing my set. It's going along fine. No problem. No controversy. I'm just doing my thing. And I start talking to that same couple. And I said to the guy, typical stuff. How long have you been together? Where'd you guys meet? What do you do for a living? And the Suge Knight guy was a cop, which was really funny. I'm like, you look like a guy
You
in
look
jail
like a
from
guy-
Death Row Records, and you're a cop. Who would have known?
Right.
And I actually, when I came out into the crowd, I was talking to him. I said, he kissed your head, didn't he? He goes, yeah. And I said, well, I'm going to kiss your head too. So I kissed his head, which, boom, locked up the $20 from Murray.
Yep.
What I didn't know during any of this was that couple actually knew the other comedian.
Oh, so
They are friends.
They're friends.
They're friends.
It's completely okay.
It's
for him
different
to
when he
kiss
kisses
him.
his
Yeah,
head.
right.
I kissed his head. I don't know the guy.
Yeah.
So anyways, I kissed his head.
But the guy didn't fight.
He didn't
you
punch
off,
me and I'd be
right?
dead right now.
Yeah,
So I
right.
went back on stage. I'm doing my thing.
He
Now,
didn't vanilla ice you over the
He
side of a
didn't- he didn't
building,
hang
right?
me off the
he didn't
balcony.
hang you off the balcony.
so I noticed during one of my bits, I'm almost done now. This is towards the end of my set. I keep seeing the girlfriend on her phone. Mm-hmm.
So
I'm
of
like,
course you can't ignore that.
Exactly.
And you pointed out.
So I said,
and-
hey, like, come on, like, I'm talking directly to you. You're not even looking at me. You've been on that phone nonstop. And she's like, well, that's because his ex-wife won't leave us alone.
Oh.
And my stupid ass said, do you want me to talk to her? Exactly.
And this is why Brad gets into the situations that are so hilarious that we love when he comes on the show.
And what happened?
Because he can't help himself.
What
I
happened?
can't help myself.
Yeah.
And then when I get off stage, reality hits, and I'm like,
Oh, what did I do?
No. But in the moment, I don't have time.
you don't
to
Can,
think
can
of
I
that.
ask you a quick question? When you say these things, is it like those moments where you see the words coming out and you wish you could actually take them in your hand and
It's
put them
exactly
back?
like
Back?
that.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
by the time I'm on the phone with this woman, I'm like, there's no turning back.
I knew that.
So you picked up
There's
the
no
phone.
turning back.
Yeah,
No.
that's it. Too late.
You didn't
So-
text her. You physically talked to her.
I said, I'll talk to her. I said, I'll tell her we're trying to do a show over
you put
here.
her on the mic.
I sure did.
Of course you did.
So she calls, puts it on speaker, and hands me the phone. I'm like, hey, what's up? It's Brad Pierce. And she's like, who? I'm like, oh, I'm a big deal in Cranston. So I put up the phone. I put the phone up to the mic. The whole crowd's listening now.
Right.
She's like, what's going on? Who's playing around? And I'm thinking, fuck, like, doesn't she have their number? I'm
Right.
like, uh-oh. Her tone is making me realize really fast, oh, this is not good.
Right.
This is not fun.
No, like,
this
thi-
isn't playful. This is a very pissed off ex-wife on the phone.
Right.
And I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, so I crack a couple jokes. The audience is laughing and she's just getting more mad. And I'm thinking,
Because
how the
she-
fuck did I get here?
She doesn't know how many people are laughing at her, but she can hear a whole crowd
Oh.
laughing
I
at
don't know
her.
what's
Right.
going on.
Wow.
So
Oh.
I'm
she
like,
probably thinks he's at a bar and has her on speakerphone, and all these fucking people
she's
at
like,
the
who
bar are
fuck is
laughing
this
at
guy?
her.
So
right.
now I'm like, all right, I got to get the fuck out of here. So I said, whatever, hey, nice to talk to you, whatever. I hand the phone back. The girlfriend takes her phone back and goes, bye, bitch. And I was like,
Oh.
and I was like, oh no. Jay Burns, who's in the audience, loving it, by
Must
the way,
have laughed
said,
his
Brad,
ass
the
off.
deer in headlights look on your face when she
What
yelled
the
bitch.
fuck do I do now?
I was
Yeah.
just like,
Because the only name she had was Brad Pierce.
I was like, I am, and I look at Suge, and Suge's just shaking his head.
He's like,
and I'm
what
like,
the
Suge is
fuck?
gonna fucking kill me.
He is going to vanilla
I said, I'm
ice your
so
ass off a
sorry,
balcony.
Suge. I didn't know it was gonna go there. And to my defense,
No.
I love
No.
when Brad wraps up a story with, in my defense.
No. No.
in my defense,
No.
why would you call the woman? If a comedian who you don't know asks you, obviously
You know
I'm
why?
joking around.
Too
You know,
late.
yeah, but they wanted to embarrass her. They wanted to fuck with
He
her.
didn't want
and
to,
they,
she did.
And they used you.
They
and
used
you
me.
fell for it.
They used me
because
Or
Brad
she used
Pierce.
me.
Because
poor
Brad Pierce
Suge.
doesn't know how to say no. How many times have we said we can go to Brad before a show and go, Brad, You could
Don't say elevator.
You can say anything you want, but don't say the word elevator. And 5 minutes into your act, your mind is going so bad that you're like, okay, folks, I know I'm not supposed to say this, but let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Elevators.
Let's talk about elevators for 15 minutes. And you go off on a fucking tirade on elevators.
So, in my defense, if obviously you hate this woman, why would you call her and
Because
hand
he
the phone
hate-
to So,
because they
so
hate her.
now,
Because they
look,
want you to roast
long
her,
story short,
embarrass
right.
her.
I go in the
Oh,
back.
now you sound like Murray. Make a long story short.
Okay.
I go in the back. Anthony Smith is dying. He's
Oh,
like,
he must
Brad,
have been
how
losing his shit.
do you get? Because you realize this is the show.
How do
He's
you
booked
get-
me twice there.
Wait, how do
the
you
first
get into
time
that?
was when I made fun of the guy doing the show, Tyrone Biggums. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That was the last show. Anthony's like, Brad, every time I book you, this crazy shit happens.
Yeah, did you tell him every time everyone books me, this crazy shit happens?
So he's laughing. The other guy, the comic who kissed him,
Yeah,
comes back.
who's
He
friends
goes,
with him?
They're partners. They're both cops.
Oh, so in
He's
other
laughing.
words, that's his ex-wife because he met
And he's like,
his,
oh, his ex
partner.
He's
He
like, you
started messing
understand?
around
His
with
ex-wife
partner.
is crazy. No. The comedian and Suge are both cops.
Oh, I thought you meant the
No.
the
This is his
Suge
new
and his
girlfriend.
girlfriend were
No,
partners.
No, the comedian's
cops.
a cop.
Oh.
Turns out they're both cops and they're partners. So that's how he gets away with kissing him on the head. Me, I'm a complete stranger. But anyways,
And that wasn't even the worst part. Of
No,
it.
that was the least
That was
offensive
the least
part.
offensive part. Was him kissing him on.
Hey,
the
Murray
head.
did Venmo me that $20 to his credit. So I'm back like stressed out. I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to create problems. And Anthony gets on stage to close out, like to say goodnight to everybody. He's like, yes, Dan, like Brad has white people problems. You know, Brad deals with like boiled chicken and shit. Like he doesn't understand. He just caused a whole bunch of drama with baby mamas and shit. And I was laughing at that, but I felt so bad. I'm like, this poor guy.
Is
I just
gonna
created a
catch
mountain
so
of
much
stress. And like she just shouldn't have called. She just put her.
Did
phone
you ever
away.
find out? Like, did anything happen?
I honestly wanted to
You
figure
should-
Why
out. The
would
only
you
thing I
dig
did was
into it?
I did text you two instantly. So that's
you
what I
should
did.
call the other comic
I don't wanna
and
know
say,
anything.
"Hey, whatever happened with Suge and
I
his
don't want to
girlfriend?"
know.
No.
I don't want to know.
No, you walk away from that unscathed.
I don't
and
wanna know.
Thank God.
But I did text you two.
You know what I
immediately.
love? I love how we normally wrap up the show with a funny bad gig story,
You
but
ain't getting
every
better than that.
fucking show Brad does is a funny bad gig story.
Okay. In 10 years,
Yes.
what was one of the worst situations you got yourself into?
I mean, I just talked
Too
about
many to
making fun of
name.
a blind guy,
Yeah.
mentally challenged kid,
I mean-
pissing off an ex-wife.
Where was the one with me?
Oh yeah,
does that
getting ripped.
rank?
That was real bad because A, I get ripped off stage. B, she demanded her money back from Funny for Funds. That's
Yeah.
real bad. That's way up there.
That
That's
was
got to be one of the worst for sure.
So for the because
Give us some context, Ace.
listen, we've had Brad on before. He's told this story before, but for the sake of the audience that's listening tonight, let's rehash.
Yeah, we can
this
just fire it up
fucking
quick.
bad memory. So we were hired to do a Funny for Fun show.
Yes.
It was for an organization that is people who have lost a loved one to addiction,
Drugs yeah.
or alcohol addiction.
Right.
And so I reached out. I was running the show. I reached out to Mike Murray and Bill Simus and said, "Okay, any restrictions?"
Who's one of the more compassionate comics that we have?
Yeah, me. Evidently.
So let me pick Brad.
yeah. I don't know how he ended up.
Somebody grab Brad.
And you know what? The worst was, it was me. Brad was opening Andrea Henry,
Who's awesome.
She
who's
is
awesome.
so
Awesome.
funny.
and
I
sweet
love her.
and the most unassuming person and so like quiet.
So
and,
yeah.
funny.
and then
love her.
Brad opened. So and I will say, in Brad's defense, Mike asked, "Okay, listen, are there any restrictions?" Yes. The only thing you can't. This can be an adult show. Adult show.
Yep.
You can swear. You can whatever. The only thing is, do not do anything related to alcohol or drugs.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And we
Fair
didn't.
enough.
I
And
didn't.
you
Fair
know
enough.
what? I didn't do my wedding a Cana joke.
Right.
The drunk guy at the wedding.
Right.
None of that. So Brad starts doing his usual shit. And he goes around the front table, and there's a guy with like one of those bushy fireman mustaches. And next to him is his wife. And then next to them is another woman with a really short haircut. So, of course.
Like aces right now.
Yeah, like mine. So of course he says, how much for that lesbian haircut? Did you pay for that? All that. Then he goes to the lady and the guy, the married couple, and he says something about, do you like the mustache rides that he gives you? That looks like a big bushy, mustache.
I asked
now
if it made her itchy or
if it
tickled.
made her
I don't know.
itchy,
Yeah.
but again,
Not horrible.
it's not. It
Not
has
horrible.
nothing
It's not
to
classy,
do
but it was an adult show.
nothing to do with alcohol or drugs.
Right.
And
Yeah,
it was an
breaking rules.
adult show.
yeah.
Well, the lady that was running
That's not
the
even
show.
that adult.
No. The lady running the show. First of all, let's do a character assassination of this bitch
Yeah, she was nuts.
because she was out of her fucking mind. I used to go to TD Bank in Johnston, and her niece was one of the tellers, and she said, "Oh, I heard you met my aunt last week," and she was like, "Yeah, she's crazy." So this lady she made it all about her.
Of course.
Right? Like after the show, she got up and did a half-hour monologue.
Before, too. She did stuff at the top.
Talking about the organization, which look, the organization had a noble cause. It was great. But she made it all about herself.
Yeah.
It was like a one woman show.
Yeah.
Right.
She laughed, she cried, like
dramatic.
it was all dramatic. But Brad does the thing. Now, I asked her before I went up, I said, now this is an adult show, right? Yep, adult show, no problem. Just don't talk about drugs or alcohol. No problem. Brad gets up, does the lesbian joke, does the joke about the mustache rides. The lady comes up to me and goes, "What the fuck is he doing up there?" I go, "What are you talking about? These people lost loved ones. He's making fun. He's saying that she wants a mustache ride from him. These people have been through enough." I go, first of all, they're laughing.
Right.
Like the people he was talking to
Were
were
laughing.
laughing. The audience was laughing.
Right.
I said, the second thing is he's not talking about drugs or alcohol.
Right.
Get him off stage. So now
When he starts lighting me, I thought he was
7
busting my balls.
He was supposed to do
Of
20
course.
He was supposed to do 20 minutes. He's 7 to 10 minutes in, and
Maybe
I'm
less.
lighting him. I'm lighting him because she's screaming at me.
It was, like, really
and
early in
he's
my
going,
set.
"Oh, Ace Aceto's lighting me. I don't know what the fuck that means."
I think I did a couple more minutes because I thought he was fucking with me. It was
goes,
really early in my set.
I don't know, folks. I'm supposed to be doing 20 minutes. That's what you paid for, so I'm giving it to you.
Waving. He's like,
Yeah.
Brad, he's waving. I was like, all right, I better get out of
I'm
here.
jumping up and
I'm
down.
like, Ace, what the fuck happened?
Yeah. So I get him.
That's the exact opposite. I was doing a show with Mike Murray, and I
Wait,
lit
wait.
him early as a joke.
I get
That's
him.
what
And
I
he
thought
got
was
off.
doing. That's
No.
what I thought he was doing.
I get him off stage, and Andrea goes up, and poor Andrea had to dig out of the hole that he created because not only was she screaming, she was screaming loud enough that the audience heard it. So now the audience is all fucking puckered up,
Right,
and
they're all
uptight,
tense.
right? And Andrea is so unassuming, and her opening
Right.
about the boob job and stuff,
Right.
and she did good. But she had to dig out of a hole.
Well, they
it was
made it.
difficult.
That
They
lady made it
very
awkward because people were
And
talking to
then-
me as I was coming off. They could tell something was wrong.
Right, because they were,
Yeah.
and people were
Right.
coming up to me going,
Right.
"Why'd you pull him off? He was hilarious." I'm like, "Cause you're a fucking crazy woman that's
Right.
running this thing."
Right.
Was screaming at me backstage. Then she's
This is a long
screaming
time.
At,
This is a long time ago, so I
Yeah.
felt real bad.
She's
I was
screaming
like,
at him.
fuck.
She's screaming at me. I'm like, listen, with all due respect, we were told, don't yell at Brad. We were told it was an adult show. He was doing adult material. It had nothing to do with drugs or alcohol or addiction. So, well, I went up. I did some material. I mean, I did all right. But again, it wasn't a killer fucking set.
It was a weird night.
because she put such a
Right.
fucking
Put a fog
shroud
over the place.
over the
There's
place.
a huge fog over the place.
And
That was one of the
she
worst.
called, and I
Yeah.
felt so bad because She called Billy and Mike
Demanding her
and demanded
money.
money back, and it sucked.
That sucked. That was
Yeah.
one of the worst. And the guy that I'm not going to go through the whole story again, but the guy threatened to beat me up was really bad too. I told that last time, but
Yeah.
So there's been some bad, but mostly it's good. Don't come see me, guys. I don't
Yeah.
always make people
honestly-
throw things at
Listen,
me.
he's one of the
Honestly,
funniest
Brad
guys.
is hilarious, and you could see him 10 times, and you're not going to see the same.
Well,
show
and
twice.
that's the thing. Like, we talk about how amazing John Parada is at crowd work, but John has specific things. What makes John funny is it's a different crowd every night. So even if he's saying the same thing, it's a different crowd.
And
It's
John's
different people.
hilarious.
I love
And he
John's
is.
hilarious.
John's
But
the
no
man.
one is more like listen, I was thinking about it because right before you came over, I was watching a Matt Rife video, and you are like
You're very much like him.
you are very
My
much
bank account slightly
no.
different.
Well, I was going to say you are the
Little bit.
you are the
My abs aren't as
unpopular
nice.
version of Matt Rife.
Yeah.
You
The poor man.
You're the bro.
The
You're the
poor
poor
man's-
man's Matt
yes.
Rife.
I don't
That's the
have
name
this.
of the episode.
Poor man's Matt Rife.
Brad
I need a better six pack.
Brad Pierce, the poor man's Matt
I don't
Rife.
think so. You're close.
You're yeah. No, but you know what? Because you truly are a person who goes up there without a net, has maybe
Yeah.
two or three jokes, like actual material jokes, but
he
are
doesn't lean on
so-
those.
No, you are so good at interacting with the crowd.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That and that's why obviously Mike from the Comedy Bus hired you, because you're so good at off the cuff material.
I did a Funny for Fun show recently, and I had a moment of improv where I played with the crowd, and a buddy of mine was in the audience, and he goes, "Dude, that was pretty good the way you played with the audience there." And I said, "You saw me on a good night." I said,
Most people can't do that. We all do that every once in a while.
I said, literally,
he does it all the time.
I said, I'm like a baseball player. If I'm batting 300 when I do in the moment, I'm doing well.
Yeah.
I said, you got to see my buddy Brad.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Man.
I
really
said,
appreciate it,
Brad
guys. Thank
bats
you.
like 900 when it comes to improv.
I appreciate it, guys.
You know,
Yeah.
no,
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 you do.
seriously.
Appreciate
That's one of those things that, I've been doing this 22 years, Ace 34 years. I've had to, in the last, I would say 5 to 6 years, force myself to try to do it more, to get better at it, because I see guys like you that are naturally good at it, and I wish that I could be better at
I
it.
appreciate it. I know we're getting towards the end. The only other thing I had in my notes was the potato salad thing I wanted to tell
that
you
was
about.
Please.
another one.
Let's wrap up
But
with
the funny
this.
thing is, we don't know anything about it. He just goes, "Remind me potato salad." when
That's what I
come on."
love about his text. That's what I love about his text. They're so just like nothing to them.
Completely generalized. Yeah.
It didn't work out as funny as it could have been, but basically, Mike Murray was doing the road show one week, and he said, "Hey, you've been on the road show. I'm doing that panel thing they do,
The Roadie Roundup.
right?"
Yeah.
He's like, "How does that work?"
Yep.
And I did it like
Yeah, I
probably
was on it.
4 years ago.
I was
or
on
something.
it a couple of weeks ago.
I did it with Ed Brady. It's
Yeah.
early in the morning. I was half asleep. It's hard to remember. I was like, they just ask you some
but
basic
it's family
stuff.
friendly. You got to be
Well,
careful
yeah,
what
I
you
was-
say.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I didn't say anything crazy. So, and Mike's clean anyways. But he was just like, "Hey, how does it work? What should I expect?" He said, "Did I tell you the questions in advance?" I said, "Mike, I honestly don't remember, but I don't think
They
so.
used
But maybe
to do
they
it.
do.
They
but I don't
used
think
to
so."
do it when you got there.
Okay.
Now they send it to you a couple of days before, which is
Oh, okay.
very beneficial because
I don't think they did that when I
it
did
gives
it.
you more time to kind of formulate what you want to say and maybe write something
didn't do that
funny.
for me.
No, they
Yeah.
didn't do it up until like last year.
Yeah, and I did the show a while back.
Yeah.
So I said, "I don't remember. I don't think so." He goes, "Oh, well, what the fuck? I don't know. I'm going to say that. What if I don't know what to say?" He's like, "I'm just going to talk about potato salad." And I started laughing. I said, "Please, Mike,
Please do that.
please
Yes.
talk about potato salad out of context on the road show." And I said, "Look," and I kept thinking about it. I said, "It's going to be so great if he randomly starts talking about potato salad." I woke up the next morning. I called Mike. I said, "Mike, I'm very worried that you're not going to talk about potato salad on the road show on Friday. And I'm afraid that you're going to not do it."
Yeah.
I said, "I'm going to make a deal with you." I said, "Tomorrow."
I'll Venmo you $20.
No, he's never seeing that 20. I said, tomorrow I'm doing an interview for ABC6 about the Comedy Bus.
Yep.
I promise you, I will talk about potato salad.
salad.
If you promise me, you'll talk about potato salad on the road show.
Yep.
So I go do this interview. It's just me, Mike, and Jenna, the owners of the couple that owns the bus.
Yep.
After I get done with the interview, Mike's wife, Jenna, goes, Brad, why did you keep bringing up potatoes? So on the way home, I called Mike. I was like, hey, I
Did you
brought up
do it?
potato salad so many fucking times that Jenna was like, dude, why do you keep talking about potato salad? We're trying to promote the bus.
Right.
I said, so you better fucking talk about potato salad
Right.
on the road show
On the
tomorrow.
road show tomorrow. Right.
Now, unfortunately for me, the ABC6 thing is edited.
They
cut
took out all
my
the potato salad. So there's
The
no
road show,
proof.
there's no proof.
Road show's live.
Road
You
show
can't
is
edit it
live.
out, right.
So the next day, I DVR'd the road show, and Mike, God love him, they get to this question like, if Mike Murray, if there's a movie made about you, like who would be the star of the
Yep.
movie? He'd say, well, it'd be Liam Neeson, an overweight Liam Neeson, and it would all be about the controversy surrounding potato salad. I was laughing so hard
Oh my
because
God, that's awesome.
they kind of like interrupted him. He
Yeah.
was gonna say some people like it with mustard, some people like it with mayonnaise,
Right.
but it's
They
way
moved
better.
on. Yeah.
They moved on because it's like, what the fuck is
It's
this guy talking
ridiculous,
about?
right?
What's controversial about potatoes?
Where did that come from? Oh my God.
So then when the ABC thing comes out the next week, there's no mention of potato salad.
Oh, you
I'll
owe
send-
him $20, dude.
I'll send you the video. I have it
Of-
on my phone
of
of
him?
Murray talking about the
Oh
potato
my
salad.
Or at least buy the guy lunch.
Yeah, right?
At least I can do. I'll get him some broccoli.
Oh my God, that's
Oh,
awesome.
brilliant. Brad, we love having you on.
I always have a
Yeah.
good time with you guys.
we
Every
love
fucking
having you
time.
on. Your stories never cease to make me laugh.
Anytime you
Thank
want to
you,
come
guys.
on, man.
I love doing
and
it.
we
It's
know,
open
you know what's
invitation.
going to happen? Saturday, we're going to get a text.
Oh,
you're not going to believe this one.
Before the 4th of July,
We literally-
we're going to have at least 2 texts from Brad.
Folks, we could literally have a segment on this show monthly. What Brad says.
Yes.
Shit
yes.
Brad says.
Things from Brad.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thoughts
And-
from Brad.
Just call it in my defense.
in my defense, that's it.
Yeah, in Brad's
That should
defense.
be. You should start a podcast and call it "In My Defense."
Yes,
That would be hilarious.
definitely.
If we were ever big
Definitely.
enough to have a listening audience and start a fucking network, we would do that.
If you didn't shit on Seinfeld, you could be big enough.
yeah, right. No shit.
The funny thing is, I love that show.
Yeah,
I love
What,
the show, and I
Seinfeld?
love
Oh.
and I love
Yeah.
Comedians in Cars is awesome. I love
Yeah,
that show too.
yeah.
Definitely. And if you guys are in the Providence area at all, check out
You
the
have
Comedy
to.
Bus
Yeah.
because it is a great time. Brad is doing an amazing job booking comedians. Everyone that goes on it has a blast. It's definitely a must-do. A
Yeah.
great summer event to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
You
it's
know.
awesome when it's not. It's
Yeah.
always fun, but it's so much cooler when it's a nice day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The windows. It's a
Exactly.
better
But you know what?
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
well, because you can mess with the people outside.
Yeah.
Like I love going up Thayer Street, and you're up, even before Thayer Street, like you're going up Point Street, and you're in front of Fellini's, and people are walking around,
Yeah.
and they're
It's cool.
listening, and they're laughing at what
Yeah,
you're
it's
saying.
cool.
You know,
It's a really cool experience.
Yeah, it's really a fun time. So definitely check that out.
Yeah.
Brad, what can we promote other than the Comedy Bus?
That's it. Just my Instagram and YouTube, Brad Pierce Comedian.
and check out Beverages with Brad.
I haven't
Are
been
you
doing
still
it
doing
lately.
it?
I've been
No.
slacking. I want to bring it back, but for now, just
Yeah.
Instagram and YouTube, Brad Pierce Comedian.
And I'll put that link in the show notes for anybody watching,
Yeah.
anybody listening. Go to the show notes. You can click on that and check out Brad Pierce.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
I always
You're
have a good
always, yeah, we always have a good time. with
Always
you.
welcome.
So listen, folks, we thank you for listening and for watching. For those that watch, we've got an amazing summer coming up. We've got an amazing Scottober lining up. I sent Scott a message yesterday.
Oh My God.
I am really hoping this comes through because if this
If
does,
you do, you will be the greatest co-host in the history of co-hosts.
it's funny because I sent Scott the email.
I was
and
like
he said,
I
"I'm
was like-
having the shittiest week, but you just made my
Dude,
day."
this was the
So-
worst week ever in the
Yeah.
history of my working life.
Yeah.
And I was an 8-year-old kid again. I
Well,
was so excited.
So was I when I got the response. So I reached out to someone. I literally said to them, "You and your brother were an amazing, huge part of my life growing up. Would you ever come on a comedy podcast?" And they said, "Absolutely." And so
You
we're
have to
just
nail that
waiting to
down.
nail it
Have
down.
to.
O.J. Simpson.
No, I'll tell you after the show. We don't want to give it away, but
Jeffrey
we're,
Dahmer.
we're working on some amazing
Beyond the Grave.
guests throughout the rest of the summer.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of people who've said, "Yeah, I'll be on," and
It's just
we're
a matter of nailing times down.
trying to nail the time down. So we've got some great shows coming up. We've been talking. I talked to the guys at the Mixtape Podcast. We're going to be talking to them again soon.
Great podcast. If you guys haven't had
Yes.
a chance to check it out, they
Please.
do an amazing job.
If you were a child of the 80s or 90s, you have to check out the Mixtape Podcast. Those guys have awesome guests. They recently had the guy from Styx who took over
Yes.
for Dennis DeYoung.
Yes.
Not long after that, they had a guy, I can't
From Men
remember.
Without Hats.
Men Without Hats, the singer from Men
Yeah.
Without Hats.
You can dance if you want to.
Yeah, the safety dance. But you got to check them out because they are chock full of.
And they're hilarious.
Yeah, listen. If anyone can come up with more fucking T-shirt ideas than them, I don't know who they are.
And they play a
because-
slide whistle.
and we have slide whistles, so we can't wait to do another show with them, so we can do dueling slide whistles with KC Masterpiece.
But if you guys have a minute, please, 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 wherever you download your
Yes,
podcast,
please.
obviously Apple, Spotify, those are the big ones, but some of you download them in other places. Take a minute, give us a 5-star written review. It's like a personal report card for us. It helps us so much get on the charts, helps other people discover us, and helps us get out to more people, which helps
the
us
thing.
get those guests
Right.
that we want to bring to you guys. So if you guys can do that, that's such a great help to us.
Yeah, it literally pushes us up in the ratings. Not just the ratings, but in other words, if you say, "Oh, I want to listen to a comedy podcast," and you put in comedy podcast, the more reviews that we have, the higher up that will show us in that search.
It
So,
doesn't cost you
please.
anything but like 30 seconds of your time, and we greatly appreciate it because you guys are awesome.
Yeah.
You guys have supported us all these years, and we want to keep bringing you great content. So if you guys
Absolutely.
can do that, we appreciate it. And, of course, share us with a friend.
Yeah. Just help us grow. That's all we're asking for. So listen, folks, we will be back next week. I don't know with who. I know we've been working on something. We got to go over. We have to have a production meeting after this at the Cigar and Bourbon Bar.
Damn.
Yeah, that's what
We
that's
gotta
what
get to our
tonight's all
meeting.
about. We got to get to our meeting, folks. So listen, other than that, we will talk to you
Next week.